Hey everyone, my name is Maria and I am your connections pastor here at the Chapel KC, and I am getting ready to jump into this Friday fill up. And today I'm going to talk about something that probably hits a lot of us close to home, and this is the topic of anxiety. So I'm just going to dig in here a little bit. I want us to look at the actual definition of anxiety, and it's this: it's a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. And a couple of things stand out to me, and it's basically these two things. It's an uncertain outcome or imminent event. So there's things in life that we know are coming our way that we can't stop. There's situations we're going to run into that we don't know what's going to happen, what's on the other side of this. It just gets in our brain and we can start to get all kind of combobulated. But these are these things that cause us anxiety. And Philippians 4:6 says this. It says, "Do not fret or have any anxiety about anything, but in every circumstance and in everything, by prayer and petition, definite requests with thanksgiving, continue to make your wants known to God." One thing I love about the Amplified Version is it says, "Do not fret or have any anxiety about anything." Anything. What's something that you're anxious about? More than likely, you're probably not going to have to think too hard or try to write it down. It's going to be the thing that sits right here in this spot of your brain. Is going to be the thing that keeps hashing over and over again, the thing that you keep replaying in your mind, the thing that you're just not quite sure what's going to happen. What if? And you start to get into these spirals. These are these things that cause us anxiety. More than likely, it's right there, right in the front of your brain. What is that? Write it down. You're not going to have to think about it. Write it down. What are the things that actually, like, if we can kind of get really real for a second, what are the things that have you curled up in your bed at night shaking because you're not sure what you're going to do? Or the things that leave you gasping for air and crying so hard where you're like, God, I don't even know. Where are you? What are those things? Because these imminent events that can happen in life, these uncertain outcomes can kind of come at us in life and we're not quite sure what to do. Oftentimes anxiety gets us to this place of panic and fear. And what scripture says is that perfect love casts out all fear. Amplified goes on further. It says, because fear comes with punishment. But the God that we serve and who is in us is actually full of love, and we don't have to be afraid. What makes you anxious? There's a few things that, in the beauty of who God is that we can trust his character. So oftentimes when we catch ourselves getting anxious, it's uncertain outcomes, these imminent events. It actually comes from a place of not having certainty. And in these moments, we can actually trust a certain God. And there's three scriptures, James 1:17. I'm going to read through them really, really quick. And James 1:17 says this. It says, "Every good and every perfect, free, large, and full gift is from above. It comes down from the Father of all that gives light, the shining, where there can be no variation, rising or setting, or shadow cast by his turning, as in an eclipse." That's great, Maria. What does that mean? What that means is God doesn't change. So when the rising of the sun to the setting of the sun, when life looks really great to when life looks really dark, whatever that looks like, God still stays the same. Hebrews 13:8 says this. It says, "Jesus Christ the Messiah is always the same, yesterday, today, yes, and forever, unto the ages." He is always the same. What is always the same about him? What characteristics? Who is his God? What is he always the same? And I want to go to Psalm 69:16. And this one says, "Hear and answer me, O Lord, for your loving kindness is sweet and comforting. According to your plenteous tender mercy and steadfast love, you turn towards me." This is what is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It's consistent. When we get in these moments of panic and fear, what we can trust is that the God who has full of loving kindness, who's sweet and comforting and has mercy and steadfast love, constantly turns it towards us. In the moments where we don't know what to do, in the moments where we're crying out, we know that it's his steadfast mercy and love that is poured onto us and meets us in those moments. And if we can dig a little deeper, it's oftentimes the very things that makes us anxious are very places that we have wounds, or very situations that we're afraid to walk through, or things that we're just not quite trusting God with. A lot of times it's things where we're like, oh my gosh, God, like, well, we plan out what these things are going to look like in our heads, right? And we don't want to go through them. Or it could be a situation you've gone through before and you're like, God, I can't do that again. I know what that was like the first time I went through it. I can't do it again. And then we start to replay everything that we went through. Or it might be a situation that you just absolutely could not imagine having to do, and you're finding yourself having to walk through it. But in trying to be prepared, we get our minds going. And these are these things when there's so much uncertainty, what we can do is we can choose to trust the character of God, because that is certain. And what is that character? That is the loving kindness and tender mercies. I'm going to read just a psalm right now, and this psalm is absolutely beautiful. It's Psalm 92. I recommend saving it, writing it down, reading it whenever you get anxious or whenever you're not sure about what life will look like. But in this psalm, it kind of goes through some ups and downs of what life will look like. But in the end, it promises us what God will be like and who he is to us. And for those who follow him in the moments of this, what God promises us when we get anxious. And it says this, it says, "It is good and delightful to sing and give thanks to the Lord. Sing your praises with musical accompaniment to your name, O Most High. To show forth your loving kindness in the morning and your faithfulness by night." There it is again. His loving kindness is with us in the morning and his faithfulness is with us at night. We feel his loving kindness and oftentimes when things are great, but at night when we cannot see, there is faithfulness. He is so faithful to us even in the midst of that. So you show forth your loving kindness in the morning and your faithfulness by night. With an instrument of 10 strings and with the lute and a solemn sound upon the lyre. For you, O Lord, have made me glad by your works. At the deeds of your hands I joyfully sing. Verse 5, "How great are your doings, Lord, your thoughts are very deep. A man in his rude and uncultivated state knows not, neither does a self-confident fool understand this. That though the wicked spring up like grass and all the evildoers flourish, they are doomed to be destroyed forever. But you, O Lord, are on high forever." Whatever you are anxious about, whatever things are keeping you up at night, whatever things are making you panic, the Lord is above those. He is on high forever. This is the characteristics. This is who he is that we can trust. Verse 9, "For behold your adversaries, O Lord. Your enemies shall perish, all the evildoers shall be scattered. But my horn, an emblem of excessive strength and stately grace, have exalted that of like a wild ox. I am anointed with fresh oil." You are anointed with fresh oil. Whatever you are going through, you are anointed. Think about that. "My eyes look upon those who lie in wait for me, and my ears hear the evildoers that rise up against me. But the uncompromisingly righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. Long-lived, stately, upright, useful, and fruitful. They shall grow like the cedar in Lebanon, majestic, stable, durable, and incorruptible. Planted in the house of the Lord, they shall flourish in the courts of our God. When you trust God, when you let him live and be in you, and you go to him in these moments, what he does is he takes our anxiousness and he actually, through the process of life and who he is, he makes us long-lived, upright, useful, fruitful, majestic, stable, and incorruptible. This is his promise. This is what he does for us. This is what he does through us. We may be anxious, but we will end up uncorruptible. Growing in grace, they shall bring forth fruit in their old age. They shall be full of sap, a spiritual vitality, and rich in the vendor of trust, love, and contentment. As you grow with God, you grow in grace, and you grow full of, it's talking about trees of sap, but you grow full of life. And they become, this is verse 15, this is my favorite part, it says they become living memorials to show that the Lord is upright and faithful to his promise. He is my rock and there is no unrighteousness in him. He is faithful to his promise. So if you aren't seeing the situation that you're so anxious about come to pass, or you aren't seeing his goodness yet and you aren't seeing these things yet, what we can know is that he is faithful to his promise. And so if we haven't seen the promise come to pass, he's still working. We don't have to try to be the ones to work it all out, to figure it all out. He is working. It's not you. You don't have to carry that, but he is faithful to his promises. And like we said in the beginning in Philippians, it says, pray about everything, in everything, go to him. And the beautiful thing is that you don't have to be anxious about anything because he is faithful in everything. So I just want to encourage you with that. God is working, he is moving, and we don't have to be anxious for anything.